Unless these demons are stopped, they will kill all and destroy all the way they always have been. That is the essence of anti-communism. Being an anti-communist is not passive. It is not laissez-faire. It is not live and let live, because you cannot live and let live with demons who want to take everything and destroy everything.
That is Jesse Kelly, and that's a pretty heavy comment that he makes. Demons don't have a wake-up call. There is no bottom to the evil that demons are trying to perpetuate in our country right now. Jesse Kelly says that Senator Joe McCarthy, famous for trying to rout communists out of our government and out of our nation, Jesse Kelly says Senator Joe McCarthy didn't go far enough in his quest against communists, and that communists have infiltrated our country and infiltrated our institutions and subverted our culture to this very day. Now, the interesting thing, one of my favorite things about Jesse Kelly is he comes off as a joker. He's quite a funny guy. I enjoy him, but he's actually not a joker. He's actually what I call him, a closet intellectual. He has thought deeply about this crisis moment that we are facing in this country. He presents this picture that the world is on fire, that our country is on the brink. And he's not saying that to be bombastic. He's saying that because he has studied the history of how communists subvert a society, and he sees that happening in our country. He sees that we are right on the brink. So we have today an argument about the prescription. He and I are very like-minded in our diagnosis of this problem, right? I always call it Marxism. He calls it communism, but it's the same thing. Marxism is communism. Communism is Marxism. And we argue about not the diagnosis of the problem, but the prescription. What do we do in our country once we've properly diagnosed our political enemy, once we've acknowledged the reality of this political enemy? What do we do to act as, Jesse Kelly calls it, as anti-communist? Okay, so I'm reading a very interesting book right now that I want to talk about with you guys. If you haven't gotten it already, highly recommend that you do. It's called The Anti-Communist Manifesto. It's really good. You know, we talk all the time on the show about recognizing and acknowledging the reality of the political enemy that we face. If we don't recognize this reality, then we're not going to fight well against this enemy, and we're going to lose. I don't want to lose. You don't want to lose. Highly recommend this book. And I have a really interesting question that I want to ask for the author of this book based on my reading. So I thought we would bring him on. The author is, of course, Jesse Kelly. Jesse, congrats on your book.
Oh, well, I'm world famous now, Liz. I don't know if I have to delete all the numbers in my phone, but now that I'm a very prestigious author, I feel like a different person now.
Yeah, and if you don't believe, you just ask the guys that wrote the blurbs on the back of your book. Look what we have here. This is the endorsements on the back of your book. It says, praise for the Anti-Communist Manifesto, a literary tour de force, a magnum opus for all the ages. Jesse Kelly, radio host, and the most important book of this or any generation, Jesse Kelly, television host. So your modesty is charming. It's a really saleable quality here. One of the things I like the best about you, Jesse, I know we joke a lot. You portray yourself as a joker, but you're actually not. You're actually what I would call a closet intellectual. And for that reason, my question is not your typical book interview question. I actually I was reading this today, right before the show. And you talk a little bit about Senator Joe McCarthy and his hunt for communists. And my question to you is Senator Joe McCarthy portrayed by popular culture, in our history books even, in an unfair manner in his hunt for communists?
Yes, and that's on purpose. That's why he's portrayed in an unfair manner, because he hunted for communists. And the truth is, Joe McCarthy is one of these things. He's so universally reviled. Everyone's heard the term, this is McCarthyism or neo-McCarthyism. Where Joe McCarthy failed was he didn't go near far enough, not near far enough. But we struggled in America keeping the communists out when the Soviet Union was trying to penetrate because of our freedoms. And the Soviets would talk about this, how we were so free that we made infiltration easy. But the truth is, you have to be aggressive with these people. You must be aggressive, and you must be aggressive all the time, because they're aggressive. There's no live and let live your way out of communism. You can't live and let live them out of your schools or your company or your country. You have to be an aggressive anti-communist. And honestly, what they did was tiny compared to what they should have done to save America from where we are now. And look, I write about it in the book. Where we were then and the things they were doing then led directly to where we are now. We weren't aggressive enough then. Now we have a lot of work to do.
I love that now you're one of those people that can say, and I wrote about this more in the book. That's a feather in your cap right there. So what should, in all seriousness, what should they have done? When you say they should have gone further, what is further?
Well, we struggle with this. We've always struggled with this in America, Liz, from our very beginning, before communism even got here. We struggled with what is nice, what is right, what is Christian, what is not Christian. We wrestled with this mightily during the Native Americans, during the Indians. What do we do with the Indians? People act like now, America, we just genocided them and didn't care. That's not true. It was hugely controversial at the time. What do we do? How do we do it the right way? We want the land. We want to treat people right. We struggle with this with the communists, too, where we would have these show trials in the McCarthy era. We would have these show trials, and you'd have to come try to defend yourself. But America, because we wanted a justice system that was fair and everything was equal and everything was good to go, we didn't actually punish that many of them at all. It should have been arrests, and if I even smell communism on you, you're going to prison, you're being deported, you're having something done that will wake up the other communists that this is not a country where this is tolerated. But we try to do it the American way, and I don't mean that complimentary like I normally do. We try to do it the nice way and the right way. Well, I mean, I guess if we find somebody who's really bad, then maybe we can do something there. But okay, he's just a college professor teaching his kids about communism. I guess that's not the end of the world. After all, we're the land of the free. And now we have a country that all of our cultural institutions are seized by Marxists trying to burn it down. And we want to know why that happened. It happened because we tried to pussyfoot our way around getting them out when we could have gotten them out easily. Now we're stuck.
I feel like this is almost lost knowledge, and perhaps it's lost because it was intentionally buried, but for all intents and purposes, it's not something that a lot of people, even in the Republican Party, think about or in the conservative movement know about. One of the things that's kind of eerie in your book is you talk about how high up in our government communists infiltrated. And I'm not talking about communist ideology that tinged, the DOD training manuals. I'm talking about actual individuals who are part of the Communist Party. Talk to me about that.
Well, if people knew history, if they taught history in schools, Liz, I wouldn't have had to write it in the book, because it's true and people don't realize it, how purposeful the Soviets were about it. Now, the Soviets, as everyone knows, are gone. Most of the communism in America today is taught by Americans to other Americans, and it's taught by the Chinese to other Americans. But the Soviets early on, they were the ones who knew. The Soviets knew very early on they couldn't compete with us economically. Therefore, they wouldn't be able to keep up with us militarily. But they thought that they could subvert us. 85% of what the KGB did was not cloak and dagger spy stuff with a shoe that doubles as a phone. 85% of what the KGB did was demoralizing a society, infiltrating its schools, its media, and things like that. And that's what they did to us here. They wormed their way into the schools, wormed their way into the media, and began to worm their way through the university system, the government, and Hollywood to make sure that Americans didn't like America, or in the very least didn't care about America. That's just as good for the communists. And we kind of had sympathy for the communists and the communist cause. We had Hollywood movies being produced when the commies were fighting the Nazis in World War II, which honestly, could you get worse sides on both sides? Just let all of them die. But we had Hollywood producing movies praising Stalin and the Soviet Union during this time. This was all done purposely, and look, they were very successful, sadly, let's be honest.
Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on TheFirstTV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.